Hi everyone. Today I was going to be originally posting my answering your assumptions video, but I feel like this is not really the appropriate time to be posting that. And I feel like I wanted to say more about what's going on and not just be posting a black square on my Instagram. I wanted to say more, and even though I don't have loads of subscribers, I feel that being silent and not addressing it is not what I want to be doing. Try and keep my channel positive. I try and keep my channel positive and light with my reactions and videos like that. I want to say more about it, and this video is basically going to be about talking about my own white privilege and about where I stand with the Black Lives Matter movement, which is pretty much, I will just say this brutally, honestly, 100% support them. I know that some of my fan base is made up of older people, older white people who are quite conservative, and I do understand if some of you guys wish to unsubscribe from me after this. But at the same time, for this, I feel is important for us to talk about, because there is a thing that happens with some white people, and these are the words I'm going to be using, like some or most, because I'm not going to speak for all white people here. I'm definitely not the spokesperson for that. Where they hear the word racism and they hear the word privilege and they're like, I'm not racist, I don't have privilege, we're all equal, we're all born the same. I've heard comments like, we all bleed the same colour, like, yes, we all bleed the same colour, but we weren't sold into slavery, so let's just be real, white people, we weren't sold into slavery. I am not claiming to be an expert for Black Lives Matter, and I'm definitely not one. I do not claim to be an expert on the history of oppression that black people have faced. But I am trying to educate myself and learn, and I will be posting links to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement in a description. But also at the same time, for white people, I don't want you to stop there. I want you to continue to educate yourself. There's a thing going on where there's been a bit of a trend for some white people, because they go with good intentions, they want to support the Black Lives Matter movement, and they go onto, black people's Instagram, using Instagram as an example here, and they ask and they say, perhaps I don't understand, can you educate me about racism, and this has been happening, and it's not their job to educate you. It is not their responsibility to educate you. It is our own responsibility to educate ourselves. Now, I want to be able to use my white voice, so I am posting, that is why I'm posting links, but I want people to do further work like I am doing for myself. This is obviously a hard video for me to make. And even though this is not going to be a frequent thing where I'm going to be talking about this regularly on my channel, I will be doing regular work on it behind the scenes. My work does not stop there. And if you are a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement, which is brilliant, that's fantastic, I don't want you to think, when everyone stops talking about Breonna Taylor, when everyone stops talking about George Floyd, that, that's okay, I've done the work, I've said I support black people, that's it. That's not, because that's not what I want. So I kind of want to talk a bit about my own background in this. This is just going to be words, and I don't know if I'm going to word this in the right way, but I'm trying. I hope I can help support some people to see differently. I don't expect to read every person's mind on Black Lives Matter movement if you are anti it, but I want to just give my perspective. So, yeah. Something that I don't talk about, and this is because I don't share a lot of personal things about myself, but I will be sharing my own personal story, is that I am actually mixed race, which may surprise some people and may not surprise some people. I often get questions. I get the question of, where are you from? It's very tiring. Please don't ask me that in the comments. I will not want to hear it. But having said that, I pass as white. I may be mixed race, but I am a passing white person. And I have not been afraid when I've been stopped by the police. And the police have always been great to me. And I'm going to say this, that I think I believe has a lot to do with the colour of my skin. I would not have the police putting me in a chokehold for the length of time that what happened to George Floyd, because of the colour of my skin. And that is something I want to say, because by using the comments, I've heard some white people say this. I said, I'm not racist because I have black friends. I'm not racist because I have my partner's black. I'm not, we all bleed the same colour. That's often what I've heard. All lives matter, blue lives matter. By saying this, I hear you, but by saying this, you are derailing the conversation from them. Because we are not all born equal. I would honestly, for a long time in my life, I wanted to believe that. As a child, you're told, as long as you work hard, you will get there. You're told that everyone is the same. There's a whole thing, when you go to school, they have, it sounds silly, but like you get those ones where you'll put your handprint and you're like, oh, everyone's different colours. Someone's black, someone's brown, someone's white, everyone's like, oh, we're all the same. But we're not all the same. The truth is, and this goes hundreds of years back. And I often hear by some white people that, can black people stop going on about slavery now because this happened years ago and we're over it and we shouldn't have to apologise. And we didn't experience it. We weren't sold into slavery. And when a black person is talking about their oppression, it is not the time for us to be speaking over them. It's a time for us to be listening and being like, okay, you're saying this, I am listening, I am listening, and I'm trying to learn. And it's also not the time, like I said earlier, to hound them, to be like, oh, but help me educate myself, but just help me. That is not their responsibility, it is our own responsibility. I am going to talk about the fact that, I'm just going to be totally 100% honest here, is that we, as I'm talking for white people here, as white people, even though I am mixed, as white people, we do have racial bias. We have, and it's not always conscious. I'm not going around telling all you guys you are consciously racist. Sometimes it comes out in unconscious things, such as, there is a black man behind you, you are more likely to walk a little bit faster and you're more likely to cross the street. Because I have done that. And when I realised I was doing that, I was like, oh my God, I felt awful. But then it's important to be aware. And it sounds bad. I'm saying this publicly, that I've done that and I feel awful about it. These are little things that have like bled through into our society that I have learned from. I've learned from my parents, and my parents have learned from their parents, and so on and so on. And that is something to be aware of. I first became aware of Black Lives Matter back in 2014, when it happened to Michael Brown, when it happened to Eric Garner, when it happened to Sandra Bland. It was this horrific thing, and it lit a fire. And I understand, I hear you guys talking about the protesters who are being violent and the looters, but at the same time, what you are not seeing, and I hear you don't want violence, but at the same time, there are pictures and video footage of white police officers tear gassing peaceful protesters, driving their cars. This is horrible. I've seen video footage of white police officers driving their cars into protesters and seeing them scream and fall on the ground. And the problem is that even when black people are being peaceful, they are still being seen as the enemy by some white people. And that is the really, really sad thing. It's like they cannot win. So I will never truly 100% understand their anger, but I can still try and understand their anger. I think a really good example is the Women's Rally March, and seeing all different types of women and how the police were all like being really friendly, being really supportive. And this is not an anti-police video, but this is a video to be aware of the fact that the differences in how white people and black people are being treated. And as much as we want to bury our head under the sand and be like, this is not happening, this is not happening, this issue is not going to go away. It is something that happens. I also read that in 2019, there were 29 days when police did not kill black people in America. That is a horrifying statistic. Some of you may see me as, some of you may unsubscribe now, and that is okay, because you are entitled to feel how you feel, but I am also entitled to feel how I feel, and black people are allowed to feel what they feel. And this video probably wasn't the best worded. My partner, for example, who is also mixed race, is brown. So the first time, and I'm going to this makes me feel incredibly uncomfortable saying this, there's my white privilege coming into it. The first time I experienced racism was, we were in Italy last year, and this is nothing to, I love Italy, the country is beautiful. This is nothing against Italians, but when we were there, we encountered, there were Italians laughing at us, giving us dirty looks because they saw us holding hands. They first looked at him in disgust, then they saw me, and then they looked at us in disgust together. There were groups of Italian men on our train back from Verona. They were pointing at us and laughing and saying things in Italian, and this is to do with the colour of his skin. And I was horrified and I felt heartbroken, and I said it to him, and he said, oh, I'm used to it. And that's a horrifying thing, that although he is not black, but he has experienced racism, and he has gotten to the point where he's desensitised to it. It's not just the murdering. In regards to the Black Lives Matter, it's not just them being killed. It's the microaggressions in their daily life that we as white people do not have to deal with. And I am sure I'm going to get comments of different experiences, because I know there's different ethnicities that are subscribed to me. The truth is, apart from that time when I was in Italy with my partner, the only time I've really experienced discrimination, apart from in regards to the colour of my skin, has been positive, has been people non-white, they're staring at me being like, oh my God, I want to be white like her. That's why when I was in Asia, when I was in Cambodia, they have products that are to do with bleaching your skin or have whitening treatment, because being white is seen as, wow, to be white, it's so amazing. Because to be dark is seen as dirty, is seen as disgusting, and it's horrible. It's horrible, and although I have been supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement since 2014, as white people, we can always do more to support them. And I really genuinely urge you, when a Black person is saying their experiences, to listen to them, because we ultimately will never know what it feels like. I know there was a study, which is terrible when you think back on it. There was, I can't remember who it was at the top of my head, because this is very much top of my head. The white man, and he wanted to know what it was like to live like a Black person, so he put blackface. Blackface is not okay. So then he was like, oh wow, I've experienced racism, but you haven't. For this white man, he hadn't experienced racism properly, because he gets to take off the blackface in the day and be like, oh, I get to live my life as a white person. And that's why you hear tales of Black people who have bleached their skin in order to get rid of what they have been, deemed as disgusting. And you think about when you see it implicit into racism bleeds into all areas of society. When you think of the media, where it's like this amazing thing when you've got a Black person who is the lead. I mean, Grey's Anatomy, much of the show has gone downhill. The amount of people of colour on that show is incredible, considering the population of Seattle is not as diverse. And I think it's incredible to have that. But it's like, shows like Grey's Anatomy are more like a rarity. And just because you may be saying, look, I have Black friends, or I am in a relationship with a non-white person, or, you wouldn't say the N-word, or you wouldn't, say anything discriminatory. We're not born hating someone with a different skin colour. But due to society has given white people more privileges than Black people. And I honestly want to say that I want this comment section to be full of love and full of support for Black people, because they deserve it. They really, truly deserve it. And just think, if it wasn't for this level of outrage, think of the times before there were phones and cameras to capture the brutality that has happened to Black people. Because this has been happening to them for hundreds of years. And some of us are only just waking up to this, and I am still learning. I don't know how well this video will come across, but for every single Black person watching this, I love you, I support you 100%, and I am continuing to try. And for every white person watching this, I also love you, and I want you to try and educate yourself too. And I don't know how else has come across, but this is something I just felt is really important to say, and that even that I will not be staying silent. This is not an issue to stay silent on. I am someone who finds it difficult to deal with conflict, and I have stayed silent before when white people say something that's like a little bit racist, but not quite racist enough. But I'm not going to stay silent any longer, basically. And even if my channel goes back to being reactions and to other videos, it doesn't mean I'm not doing the work, and you guys should all do the work too. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a very controversial topic. I know it's a very big topic, but yeah, and I don't feel like it's necessary for me to be saying requests and be sure to like and subscribe, but I'm just going to leave that there because I don't think that's something I want to end it on. And I love you all and I hope you're having. And please also at the end of the day, look after your mental health, because this is a big issue. This really does have such an effect, has such a big effect on us all. Okay, see you all soon.